This is episode 34 of Acronyms Never Increase My Enjoyment of Anime, the podcast.
It's quite a mouthful.
Not really.
I suppose not.
All right. So I'm Whooper. This is Grenchler over here next to me.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about 3 seasonal shows and 1 series from, I think, 2007?
Didn't you say it was 7, 8, 9, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was 2007 by Brains Base. And
Brains Base?
Brains Base.
Brains Base.
That was the name of the studio. They were once kind of held aloft by, let's say, the critical anime community for putting out a lot of really good and kind of off the wall, a little bit experimental anime. And now, like most studios, they've just resorted to putting out shovelware, essentially, to put it in video game terms.
Sure. Or to put it in anime terms, harem shows.
Yeah, light novel adaptations. I mean, Baccano itself was a light novel, so that is perhaps the exception that proves the rule, one might say. But if you're less cynical, there's value in every art form, I suppose.
Why would you be less cynical, though?
I don't know.
Seems like
lots of people really, really love anime, dude. Think that it's the greatest skit of all time.
That's because they don't have anything else to look forward to in their miserable, pathetic lives.
Oh God! All right, let's skip past this bit and talk about a show.
All right, I'm gonna talk about. So, what was it? It was 2 seasons ago that.
Wait, what? What's happening?
SAO Gun Gale Alternative came out.
Why are we talking about this?
Because one of my friends who watches a lot of anime was just like, "You really should watch it. It's great, man." And I was like, "All right, I'll give it."
Did you watch GGO or Alicization?
GGO.
Okay.
I watched 2 episodes.
I watched the first one.
For
another podcast.
I watched the second one, hoping that the first one was just one of those, hey, let's do an action show so that everyone sticks with it. No, it's terrible. They're both terrible.
Isn't it just, isn't it like a video game? One of those games, what are they called? Where everyone's in
VR MMO or a dive MMO or some crap.
Like Gun Gale Online. Isn't it one of those games, Person's Battlegrounds, or what is it called? I literally don't know what
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yeah. What kind of game is that? What do you call it?
It's a battle royale.
Yes. Isn't that what GGO is?
No, there's a mode in GGO that's like that. It's like if they added another multiplayer mode to some other video game.
Drinking my water. Okay, so
thanks for letting us know.
What you're saying is that those 2 episodes weren't very good?
They were terrible.
Okay, well, what does that have to do with... we try not to watch total shit on this show.
Right, but a regular anime fan recommends, hey, this show is great. You should watch it. And I was like, all right, I don't think this is going to be good, but I'll try it. And it's terrible.
Well, honestly,
why do people think this?
Anime, God bless these average fans, dude, because they're the ones who are pumping the money into the industry that keeps it afloat, so that small portions of all that cash can be funneled into the good shit. This is how Masaaki Yuasa's entire career has taken place, is all the extra money that somehow trickles into his benefactors' pockets allows him to put out really great series and movies once every few years, and then everything else is trash.
It was just I could talk about it for 5 minutes, but I feel like that's a waste of time.
You've probably already talked about it for 5 minutes. We've wasted at least 5 minutes of the start of this recording.
Well, that's all right, because this whole recording is a waste. Anyways, let's talk about another waste. I don't know. Neverland really was pretty all right this episode.
Oh, you think so? Sure. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, I wasn't as hot last episode, but this one was.
So why was this one better?
Well, I think this show kind of tries to do the whole M. Night Shyamalan twist thing, but it's been trying to do it 4 times so far. Oh, she used to be a child as well. Oh, there are demons. Oh, Ray's been talking to Mama. Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just the fog the whole time.
Yeah, cliffhangers are a common narrative device.
I don't mean necessarily the cliffhanger. I mean like these surprise reveals, like, oh, what a twist, what a twist.
I see.
One of those kind of things.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like this one actually was an interesting twist rather than just like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw that coming.
What was the twist this time?
Mom was from another farm. She was a kid. She had a serial number as well.
You mean Krone?
Krone, yeah, sister.
Yeah. No, didn't she say that she was from that farm?
No, she said she was from a different one.
Okay.
Which also means that, Mama or Isabel was probably from a farm as well.
Yeah.
So, safe to say.
What is it safe to say?
I don't know. It's interesting because they have two. It gives them those characters rather than just being like, oh, we're controlled puppets who take care of these children and are self-serving. They're self-serving for a different reason because it's the only way they can survive. Otherwise, they die. So it gives a little more motivation to those characters.
Yeah, I guess so. Although I wouldn't say that Krone has suddenly transformed into like a
sane human being,
a super well written character or anything. We just know now that a little bit of her backstory, that girls specifically in this society, when they turn 12, they have, or 13,
12,
right? They have the option, if like their scores are high enough, or if the demons see potential in them, whatever. They have the option of becoming mamas or being put on the track to become mothers of these houses, of these farms,
so that they can keep living.
Yeah, and Krone puts it very pragmatically. She says it's not much of a life, but it's the best we've got. It's the best I can do.
Right,
and that's why she's willing to like go all nuts and ally herself with these like little baby geniuses in order to push Isabel out so that she can get the comfiest slice of life that is available to her in this, like, I don't know, apocalyptic world. We don't know what it looks like outside of this farm.
But at the same time, she's also trying to uncover evidence against the kids so that she can dethrone Mama and ship out high quality kids at the same time.
Yeah, except all that ends up backfiring because she gets the letter with the seal on it. And I assume the seal means that it's from like headquarters or something.
Yeah, because Isabel says, "You've been sacked. You're fired."
Right. So what's in the letter? It's not just like a letter of termination, right? She's probably being called in. Like they're gonna.
We don't know. I mean, we don't get to read it.
But doesn't she super freak out? I'm going based on my memory because I watched this like a week ago.
I think it's because her opportunity to gain Mom's position is gone now.
That's why she's so troubled.
I think so.
I don't know. I feel like
she overreacts to everything. You could be like, I dropped my fork, and she'd just go.
Yeah, it's true that she does. I mean, that's a good point. She has the biggest reactions, the biggest personality, I suppose, of anybody in the series. But at the same time, this is the episode where we see the mark, that she's been branded. And in the same episode, at the end, she gets a letter which seems to have like sealed her fate. I don't know. I feel like she might be called in. This is my theory. And one of our commenters actually sparked this in my imagination like last month or a month and a half ago, who knows, closer to the beginning of the series. I think that she's probably going to be reassigned to like a birthing farm or a birthing facility where she's going to be made to mother children. Because if you think about it, if the demons are eating human brains, human flesh, whatever it is they eat,
it's just like where do
the kids come from?
Yeah,
they have to. There have to be men and women who are probably like, kept chained up or, just like in cells, whatever, pens, in some kind of facility, and they're forced to reproduce. So my guess is that she's going to be taken off this track to become a mother, and is going to be literally made to be a mother. in one of these facilities that no doubt exists somewhere in this demon-led society.
Probably, but I'd assume this.
And that's, I mean, if you think about it, that's horrible. Like to consider that to be your fate, to like have to bear children over and over and be separated from them every single time, and just
Yeah, it's not great.
no.
Put it lightly.
That's my guess.
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get the details of what happens to her after she leaves.
I mean, she's sort of a major character. She's not a main character, but
Right, but I mean, major characters die, and major characters don't ever come back to the show a lot in anime.
is that right?
Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they're cartoon characters, it's easier to write them off. Or maybe the unions for Japanese voice actors have, clauses that like lock their workers into contracts for full seasons. I don't know.
Or maybe she was only in for a few episode block, and that's why her character shows up and then ends in a certain amount of time.
Maybe. I mean, it all has to do with the source material, which I
Right.
have not read.
And we don't know how much it's being bastardized. If it is.
I'm sure that the limits of what they can do with it are pretty strict because it is such a popular, manga series, and they want to use the anime as an advertisement essentially for
Buy
the
our
manga
books.
and for Shonen Jump. And when you really think about it, the reason that a lot of Jump adaptations feel so like, formulaic and shonen-y is because Jump has a lot of say in the creative process, the process of adaptation.
Right. Krone in Jump Force when?
What would her ultimate move be? Do they have ultimate moves in that game?
Of course they do.
It would be some kind of dance because she always does those little dances.
Right. Or she
with her doll.
She like pulls out her tracker or something stupid. I don't know. What is it? Yugi summons Slifer the Sky Dragon.
Does he?
Yeah. So
that doll that she has, did you notice in this episode that like is there a camera in it?
I mean, we're not explicitly said or told that there is, but they focus on it way too much for it to not be something.
There's
like
even a POV shot where she like jumps onto the bed from the perspective of the doll, and the very last shot of the episode is the doll.
Right.
The only thing that makes me think it's not a camera is that I think she destroyed it in one of the episodes and like maybe put it back together off camera or something.
She ripped its head off, yeah.
Yeah, so you would figure that just because it has eyes doesn't necessarily mean that's where the lens is, and maybe it's just a microphone.
Would you really put someone who treats a doll of a child like that in a birthing suite, though? Like,
but you think she's going to kill her own kid right after she pops it out?
Probably. She just toss up in the air and be like, "Look at you!" Splat.
I'm sure the demons are right there, ready to whisk the child away as soon as she goes.
Ba-ding!
Is that how making babies works in real life? There's a little Mario coin block sound effect right after the kid comes out.
Or the one-up sound effect instead.
Here's another thing. Did you notice the sound effects in this episode?
What, like the Inception horns?
Were there Inception horns?
No, there was something that kind of
I just
reminded me
remember
of it.
like some weird bass drops and synth crawls like in this episode. Like it was
just a
too
bunch
much
of
for me.
Weird stuff. And there was every time it would focus on the doll, there'd be like this horror music stinger. Just like these sharp horns and violins screeching. I'm like, guys, it's a doll.
Yeah, I
realize this is probably like foreshadowing for a plot point, but it's a doll.
There seemed to be a lot of that in this episode, more than I'm used to. I mean, I'm used to bad musical choices from the series as a whole, but just some of the little, stings, like you said earlier, just felt really strange. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? Any other important bits, bites?
Anything?
Anything?
Not particularly.
We didn't talk about the kids much at all. Did they do anything besides talk loudly about their plans for the 8th episode in a row, 7th, whatever number we're on?
No, I mean they talked to Krone.
Yeah.
And then Krone figured out, hey, you guys know where the tracking devices are based on your reaction.
Oh, yes.
I'm a psychologist.
Ray gets a camera, which somehow has all the materials that he needs to disable the trackers, like that old-fashioned camera. The
reason that is or at least my theory, is old cameras like that, the way that a flash works, you have to build up a lot of power to put off a flash. Because it's extremely bright. So if you shock something with a high voltage signal, you can usually short it out. So you'd basically just like stab the ear with a piece of the camera, and it would pop the electronics. That's just
with a piece of the camera while it's charging up to make a flash. Okay.
People could, with like disposable cameras, you can actually make a taser out of a disposable camera. Like a very painful taser.
Okay, well, I guess, that's probably the route that we're going then. Interesting.
Taser face.
Don't flash me, bro.
Don't tase me, bro. Don't disable my tracking device, bro.
All right,
What do you think was in the note that Ray left for Krone?
I have no idea. Something about Mama.
Yeah.
Or I guess.
Her second weakness.
Well, no, I don't know about that, because it's something that Krone recognizes to be the truth. He was like, how does he know this? So maybe it isn't anything about Mama, but it's something that relates to his relationship to her. Like, because he's an informant for her, it's something that he knows as a result of his cooperation with Mama.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can think of there, or the only sort of thing that I can think of that would shock Krone and make her question, how could he have access to this information? But I don't know. I'm not really that interested in what was in it. And the show didn't seem to be that interested in it either. Because like Krone finds it and she's like, oh my God. But then the much bigger thing that overshadows that just minutes later is the letter that Krone gets.
Right.
So I have no idea what he wrote down.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't have like a good guess either. It's
vague.
I'm shrugging.
Yeah.
Hard to see that though.
Are we ready to move on to another series?
How about we move on to our favorite shrug master?
What?
Shirogane.
Okay. That's the president from Kaguya-sama wants to be confessed to.
Yes, it is. I do realize this.
I didn't like this episode very much.
Any of it, or just the last two bits?
I guess the first one was. Wait, what were they again? Let me scroll up. Honestly, the whole of the three, because we're back to doing the 3 chapters per episode thing. I didn't really care for any of them very much. The romantic advice segment, the first one, there have been 3 of those now.
Right.
And this is my least favorite because it bizarrely focused on like the president, Shirogane wanting to recruit Kashiwagi's boyfriend into working with him
at
over
his
the summer.
Part-time job.
Yeah, like that was more important than any of the. What was so funny about the romantic advice segments in the past was that both Kaguya and Shirogane are like total romantic novices. But in this one, that their ineptitude was not a source of comedy because instead it was just about him wanting to recruit this guy to be a part-time worker.
Right, but I think the point of that, supposed to being funny is they're like, oh, they're doing the same kind of episode again. But it's, rather than just being like, all right, we've seen this episode before. He's inept. Got it. Now they're just trying to make it be like, oh, he's different. Like he's trying to poach someone for his job to make his life easier.
Yeah.
So they're doing the same type of episode, but from a different angle.
But you're thinking about it on a metatextual level. where the show is kind of commenting on itself and being like, "Oh, we're doing another romantic advice thing." Psych.
I think that's what they were doing.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
All right, well,
it was too.
I did.
It was too like obsessed with or focused on depicting Shirogane's obsession and Kaguya's like confusion about like what are you doing, and Fujiwara busting in and being the love cop again. It didn't seem to be like kind of floating above all of that and pointing at it and being like, we're gonna mix it up on you guys. I didn't get that sensation. I also feel as though maybe something from the manga was omitted. I can't be sure of this, but like I didn't really understand Shirogane's motivation. I know that he's a hard worker. That's part of his character. Like he never really sleeps or anything. He's always working or studying, something like that. But I didn't get why he was so obsessed with recruiting somebody. Was there like some sort of bonus that he was going to get from his job?
It's not mentioned. You're right.
Well, I kind of feel like for him to so doggedly pursue this possibility, it makes me think that like maybe in the manga he was angling, because this show's like about strategy and stuff. Maybe he was like shooting to get some sort of pay raise or bonus or whatever,
right,
for bringing somebody else on board. But there wasn't any of that either. So I kind of had like question marks above my head the whole time it was going
Nani?
on.
Nonde desu ka?
And that girl was still lurking sadly in the background. That like freeze frame at the end that zooms in on her face.
Right. So we'll see her.
Poor girl.
Next episode. We? I don't know.
She just seems to be suffering silently.
We saw more about everyone's favorite, or at least your definitely not favorite character.
Ishigami?
Ishigami, yeah.
Yeah.
And his love of boobs.
Yeah. Well, no, he says as he's walking, like dejectedly out of the student council room, it was a life full of loving big ones and small ones. He doesn't discriminate.
Right. I said love of boobies, not...
You said big boobs.
No, I said boobies.
We can go back to the recording. You guys heard what he said.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Maybe it's just your work-addled brain that you can't understand language.
I apologize for having a job. I'm sorry, anime god.
You're forgiven.
No, wait, what were we talking about? Ishigami, and it's not so much that like that second segment, the second chapter, the middle one, doesn't revolve around him like liking big boobs or boobs at all. It's more about like, he's railing against the injustice of the social hierarchy at Shuchin Academy.
Right.
He's talking about how,
the club pyramid.
Yeah.
By the way,
all the athletes are like chads with girlfriends, and they should have
a happiness tax.
Yes. That was the funniest part of this probably whole episode for me, was the phrase happiness tax like coming out of his mouth.
Did you see the pyramid?
Yeah, I did.
So the fourth from the bottom was no club. The bottom was the manga anime club.
The manga research club, something like that.
It was anime club.
It just said anime club. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a real thing. Like the phrase manga research club is typically what's given to the club. To give it like a pretense of sophistication or authenticity, they call it the manga research club, but it's mostly just people going to an after school club where they like read manga, talk about anime and stuff. Just for your FYI.
Cool. In my high school, it was just called the anime club.
Yeah. Nerds.
I wasn't a part of it, but I knew it existed.
Yeah, I wasn't that big into anime back in high school. I think it was just like Naruto probably, and I had seen Bebop by that point. I watched all the episodes on YouTube after catching one on Adult Swim, I think, or Toonami, whatever.
Good old Toonami.
Oh, Death Note too, probably.
What?
I love Death Note. I still love it to this day.
Have you seen the Netflix reboot?
No, I'm not really interested.
There's a Full Metal Alchemist one now. There's there was another one that I saw and just like slammed my head into the nearest desk. I was just like, no, why are you doing this to another show?
So Ishigami was, mad at all the Chads for having GFs. That feel when no GF.
Right.
Ishigami's face.
And then Shirogane. What? Then Shirogane learns that the other girls are in the clubs. And he's like, wait. Or
Ishigami learns that
right.
they're in.
You keep saying Ishigami, and now that you said Death Note, I keep thinking Shinigami.
Oh. Wait, who is it? Is it Shirogane who tells him that what clubs? I was actually really interested in both of the clubs that they were in. I think it would be cool to get a chapter where it's just like the two of them at their clubs and
the board game club and the Japanese archery. What's the difference between Japanese archery and archery?
I know that Japanese archery is called Kyudo. There was an anime about Kyudo recently, like a high school Kyudo club called Tsurune, and it's decent. Like the best thing about it is the animation and the art because it's from Kyoto. It's from KyoAni.
So it's a bunch of cute girls doing archery.
No, it's actually guys.
A bunch of cute guys doing archery.
Yes, cute guys doing arrow things.
Arrow things.
And
eyebrow raise.
Yeah, why is it Japanese? I don't know. There's like a lot of emphasis placed on your like the particular form that you have. Like you kneel on the ground to start, and then you get off your knees, you rise and stand, then you turn at a certain angle, and then I'm sure there's bowing involved, and then
so it's ceremonial.
Yes,
kind of.
That's a very good word. Thank you. There's a ceremonial aspect to it. Yeah, even when it's strictly athletic or competitive, they retain that ceremonial aspect.
Kind of like kendo, I guess.
Probably, yeah. It's like Japanese fencing, sort of.
Something like that.
Japanese sword play. Anyways.
Yeah, you want an episode about the clubs now.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Even if they have to recycle the premise of like the clubs warring for a part of the budget, I think it would be, because there's that little bit at the end where the two girls are tugging on Shirogane's arm and he's like, oh man, I have my own little harem here.
End result. Shirogane's
victory, right. I think it would be cool if like we just got a little segment where it's the two of them in their clubs, and I don't know, something about I like that kind of stuff. As long as it's not, you don't make an entire series out of it with shitty characters and art, then that's a problem. But
is that a specific show you're referencing? Or?
No, just that a lot of high school series and high school club series are knockoffs of each other, and they don't look or sound particularly good either, which is bad.
Got to fill those time slots somehow, man.
Well, yeah, I guess.
2 words. Dead air. Dead air. That was 5. Whoops. And the last one was...
Okay, yes, let's talk about this. How did you like the wiener segment?
I was kind of groaning. Just like...
Really? Okay. I had the same reaction, dude, but the internet loves it. They're like, wiener.
LeMayo.
Yeah, it's huge, I guess. But I don't know. I was like,
define the internet.
I don't know.
The general consent, like Reddit or 4chan, because there's little different responses there. Okay.
I try not to go on Reddit too much.
I'm sure they loved it too.
Probably, yeah. But people think that's hilarious that she, because the show explains the joke. How long have we been talking about this? Okay. The show explains the joke. It's because Kaguya is just now learning about sex. So, she's at the phase where... Yeah,
where you're...
People saying
like
butt
when you're
or
in
boobs or something.
Third or fourth grade and someone says something like that and you're just like...
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
So that's her right now.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand the joke. It's not like a violation of her character or anything, but I just didn't think it was funny.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. Because it leaned way too heavily into it. It was like a Family Guy segment that went on for way too long.
Oh God, that's like...
I know
what you mean. I didn't think it was all that bad.
I didn't think it was...
But I really didn't like it. It was, of how many segments have there been so far? 7 times 3 plus 1 or 2 out of like 20, let's say. chapter
Right.
so far is my least favorite for sure.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
But I mean, I think that the reason that a lot of people find it funny is because a lot of people are like into the whole like the infantilization of girls. Like they they want them to act like younger than they are, like more like children. Because
This isn't 8chan.
what? What are you talking about? No, I think that's a real thing. And especially like for, I don't know, anime fans who...
She looks 12, but I swear she's 1,000 years old.
What? No, I'm talking about characters who are older but act younger, like the reverse of that. People think that's like funny or attractive. I don't know.
I don't get it.
Okay, never mind.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I
think people are into that.
Cool.
So I
guess.
think that may have contributed to people's enjoyment of this segment. Trying to like I hated it, so I'm trying to figure out why people loved it.
Or maybe some people just want girls to laugh at dirty jokes like guys do.
Oh, so you're saying they're closet gays?
Yes.
Whatever.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, humor's subjective. You can poke at it and try to analyze it all you want, but some people just think that it's funny when anime girls say wieners all the time. And I'm just not one of those people. It wasn't for me.
Me either.
All right, well, yeah, this was my least favorite episode of Kaguya. Most episodes of the show so far, honestly, I've really liked.
But this one was
like I would say one of my favorite high school anime of the decade.
That's high
so
praise.
Far. Well, not really.
Well, I mean, yeah, because that's high school anime. That's a very subsect of the genre.
There's lots of high school anime, so that means there's lots of bad ones. Because there are so many.
Would you consider Parasite a high school anime?
No.
Because the character's in high school?
No, when most of it takes place at high school. That's what I would say it's a high school anime.
Speaking of a show that takes place not in a high school,
and not even that much in its middle school.
That's true.
They're middle schoolers.
Barely ever.
Well, this one took place at the high school.
Yeah, about half
of the time.
I think half of less than half.
Some.
A quarter. 70%. No, wait, 90.
Ha.
Ha, old jokes.
I thought this episode of Mob was pretty good. How about you?
These are your favorite episodes.
Well, yeah, I like the school ones, but not just for that. Think about the last few minutes as well.
Right. Yeah.
Shit got crazy.
Dumpster fire or house fire.
Yeah.
In this
Do you think his parents and brother are actually dead?
I would not put it past one to do that. So it's definitely possible.
Well, take a stand, man. You think they're dead or not?
I think it's possible they could, but I think it's more likely that the guy from Claw understands that there's like a latent power in Mob and knows what will trigger him, and he's trying to bring it out so that he can control it or harness it.
Right.
So he's like, hey, let's put some fake bodies in this. Let's set the house on fire and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I don't think his parents or his brother are dead. In fact, I think there's a reason in the text, so to speak, to suspect that they're not dead, and that is when Ritsu and Mob's mom comes out into the hallway and says, "Oh, is this your friend?" or something along those lines. He says, "Oh, your parents are home." That complicates things. I'm thinking that what he was thinking was, "Oh, now I need another couple bodies to swap out. Now I need 3 bodies as opposed to 1."
That's an interesting point. I thought that complicates things like, oh, now I have to kill more people.
No, well, that's the thing. I don't think it would be a complication for that guy. He's an arsonist. It doesn't make his job more complicated if there are more people who get fried to a crisp. He just has to light the thing on fire.
No, well, the more people you kill in an arson, if you're an arsonist, then the more people are going to be looking for you.
I suppose, yeah.
So that would complicate things.
Yeah, I guess so. Although, I'm pretty sure that as like a super powerful psychic, that guy functions outside of the law no matter what.
Right.
I think he just
Oh no, you've brought bullets to a psychic fight.
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty
now that Japan's police even carries guns.
I really don't think that Mob Psycho would go that far. I mean, the episode makes a pretty good play at it in terms of Mob like going totally nuts and entering his unknown form, his question mark form,
which most people think isn't actually Mob, but like Mob is like a container for some deity or something.
Right.
Or at least I do.
It's interesting that you would use the word deity because there is a religion forming around him, the Psycho Helmet religion.
Right.
And we checked up on them in this episode. See, we saw what they're doing with their, what was it, $100,000 or
500 million yen?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, that's $5 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so they're like renting out these.
Well, no, they built a mega church.
Oh, they built that building? They weren't just like renting it out?
The name is a giant gold plaque. Like,
oh, did we see the exterior of the building?
Yeah.
I forgot that shot.
Yeah,
I just
did.
remember like the interior in that auditorium with like the balcony seating and everything.
Yeah, it just looked like a giant church. Yeah. I've got 700 members
It did look
now.
like a mega church.
That was the point.
Yeah, you don't need a building like that for 700 people, but I guess they're planning to grow.
Exactly. They're building for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting to check in with them, I guess. I wonder, I kind of have this theory that, you know how like Reagan kind of intruded on the Claw portion of season 1? He kind of like busted in there and changed the rules by
pretending to be the boss.
Yeah, or just, acting totally different, not really being beholden to the tone of that part of the show.
Right.
I'm thinking that maybe the Psycho Helmet religion will serve a similar purpose now that we've gone a little bit darker. And we do have 5 episodes left to go. I think there's 13 in this series. So maybe like somehow that religion will end up altering the end game of Claw, of Mob, of the series somehow. It could just be like a little runner going along, running alongside everything else.
Right.
But especially with
just like a repeating gag, like a musical cue.
Yeah, but the show does seem to be dedicating a little more time to it than just, aren't these guys fools?
Because now one of the middle schoolers wants to use Mob to control a religion.
Well, she's always
manipulated.
She's always been interested in how she can use Mob's abilities and fame to try to influence others, I think. She's part of like the journalism
club.
Yeah.
Yeah, the journalism club.
As expected of a journalist. Fake news. Am I right, hashtaggers?
Hashtag fake news. Hashtag the billionaires are controlling our brains.
Hashtag ? Keep asking questions. Stay woke.
Keep going down the recommended tab on YouTube and watching more conspiracy videos.
That's the only way people are going to find our show, our podcast. If they scroll way down.
We just need to start putting in the hashtag conspiracy. Just like octuple our
We
views.
want the Alex Jones audience. I don't actually. Not really. I mean, you can watch whatever you want, but whatever.
Whatever indeed. Let's talk more about the start of the episode.
The start of the episode was the megachurch thing.
Right. Well, I mean, that was part of it. Okay, then the middle of the episode, Mob trying to...
the race?
Yeah, Mob trying to run the race and prepare for it. We've got like a training montage.
Yep.
Training mobtage, I should say.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. What about it? Say something.
Mob's a good guy. He as both of us, thought last episode, we didn't think Mob was going to like use his powers to be the best and win.
No, but people suggest it to him, I think.
Yeah, that
the journalism girl does.
Dimple does.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you want me to possess your body real quick? And that girl, Tsubomi, who he likes, first of all, she goes with her friend to see Reagan.
To get relationship advice.
Right. And then she makes up some story to see whether he's like really a psychic or not, or
to see if he is like a good person.
Yeah. And then she sees that photo of him with Mob, and then she almost calls out to Mob as he's running. I didn't quite get what the show was going for with her character. Is she supposed to like be interested in Mob?
I think that's the angle the show's trying to do, because
they're pretty subtle about it.
She's trying to figure out, is the person he works for good? Is he still a good person? Because they didn't talk to each other much for the last couple
So why
years.
doesn't she actually like yell out to him? She doesn't seem to be overcome with like a sudden wave of shyness or anything like that. She just sees like that he's sweating kind of grossly.
This show doesn't use a sledgehammer like most anime does.
I understand that it's we don't get as much internal monologuing or like heart pupils or tongues like wagging out of people's mouths or anything, but all the same, like the direction of the scene was slightly too opaque for my liking. Like I didn't understand what would have made her like kind of draw back and not call out to him as she was planning on doing. Maybe I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill here. I don't know.
Probably.
It's just cartoons, man.
I don't know. Maybe she saw that he was focused and didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe she's shy and doesn't want to talk to him at all. I can't talk to him. He's my beloved Mob.
Maybe so, dude.
There's the internal monologue you were missing.
Yeah, dude. I need high school club anime with internal monologues, or else I just can't process what's going on.
This was middle school?
I need middle school anime. Actually, one of my favorite anime the last few years is a middle school romance. True story.
FBI, open up.
They're like 15 years old because high school goes up to 9th grade in Japan.
FBI, still open up.
It's
close enough.
Okay. No, it's not close enough to anything. It isn't really, their ages, whatever. It's about first love. That's the point of the series.
What's it called?
It's called Tsuki ga Kire, and it's really good.
The more you know. But yeah, I like this episode too. It obviously had a huge tone shift towards the end, but Mob tries his best and he trains. He runs 9 out of 10 kilometers, which is better than anyone thought he was going to do.
So he didn't finish.
No, he
episode.
didn't.
Yeah,
he passed out at the 9th kilometer.
Yeah,
and Reagan comes out and tries to help him.
Yeah. Did you notice that the eye catch? The little in between thing that goes to commercial and then comes back from it.
It's Reagan training.
Yeah, because when he first trains with Mob, like Mob is outpacing him.
Outrunning Reagan. Yeah.
And so then you see him training, and then then when he reappears, when he runs alongside Mob in the actual race, he's wearing like a tank top and shorts.
No, he's
looking kind of buff.
He's got like his tracksuit. Yeah, he's perfectly right. Like, what have you been doing?
He's a jack of all trades, man. He can
don't get outpaced
anything.
by a middle schooler. That's the ultimate get fit motivation.
Yep. I mean, I guess so.
If you have a protege who's in middle school and he runs faster than you, get on a treadmill, you fat sack of shit.
Okay.
Hot takes.
Okay, I will.
Anything else you want to say about Mob?
I'm sure there's lots of other, little rabbit holes we could go down. I mean, I enjoyed the episode. Most of what I wanted to talk about, I have mentioned, or you have. What else is there to say? I already talked about my false body theory. The whole thing about the megachurch, the psycho helmet religion,
right? How
they might factor into this story in the future. I don't know. You got anything else, or are we good?
I mean, we're
about to go into the shonen bit of the series.
We got more of good guy Reagan.
because he's trying to help Mob.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have that much work, and it shows his calendar, and he's got appointments every single day, sometimes 2 in each.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's still Mob's bitch after he bailed him out on television.
We also
and we learned that. Oh, you're probably about to say what I was about to say.
Yeah, we see Mob. It's like someone had cited that there was the helmet kid at this.
So
this
Mob was
crazy
there.
Thing. Yeah,
he was in the room. I'd be curious actually to go back to the previous episode and see if he's somewhere in there.
Huh.
Like in the shots of the reporters and stuff, somewhere in the background, lurking there.
You just see like half of a helmet.
Yeah, or something, or maybe he's just like literally there in one of the shots, and kind of tucked away or between two people. I don't know.
Right.
That would be a nice little detail, an Easter egg if they threw that in there. So maybe I'll go and do that. I probably won't, but it would be cool if Bones did that, or if One did it in his original, in the manga.
I don't think One draws with enough definition to be able to fit that into a crowd of reporters.
How much of his stuff have you read or seen?
Literally none. I just know the meme with One Punch Man.
Yeah, well.
Oh.
Then you don't know for sure. I don't know either.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say, although that was a good one, was we saw Mob's brother and Lightning Teru helping out Reigen because Mob was out.
Part time, yeah. Filling in. That's in the same scene where we see Tsuboshi. Is that her name? Why did I already forget? Tsubomi. And her friend, yeah.
Yeah.
At the office. And they don't do anything. We don't see that. I mean, thank goodness. If it had been, if Mob were to go back to school and was training for something that was really important to him.
And then we get a monster of the week with 2 other psychics.
Yeah, I would have been like, fuck this.
Get that out of here.
Although we have not seen Teru in a while. Yeah,
I mean, he hasn't been in this season at all.
We saw him once before, I think, just very briefly, but not in any.
Oh, he was watching the press conference, so we saw a shot of him.
No, I think even before that, he may have shown up for like 2 seconds or something. I don't remember. I don't know why I remember that, but
he showed up for 2 more seconds.
We're about to go into fighting mode, or the show is, so he'll probably be showing up.
Fighting love.
All right, let's skip past that and move on
to Confundo.
Baccano, episodes 11 and 12. So we'll probably do 13 and 14 next week, the end of the series and the first episode of the 3-part OVA. Why not?
Or we could next week do just the end of the series, and the week after we could do the whole OVA so that we can compare the show with and without.
I really feel as though it's fine to just keep doing 2 each. Keeps the amount of stuff we have to watch consistent. It allows us to immediately make a comparison between the series and like what kind of tone the OVA is going to take, what kind of narrative goals it sets for itself with its first episode, if any. It might just kind of be
more
deleted scenes or extras. I don't really know.
Deleted scenes. How many deleted scenes were there? Well, we skipped 200 years, so quite a lot.
They did skip 200 years, didn't they? All right, I watched these episodes before I went to work today because we were going to start recording as soon as I got back.
Yeah, I just watched them.
And I wrote down a lot of events that happened along with my impressions, and some notes. But if I were asked to recount their events, I'm not sure I could do it. Not well.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these 2 episodes, unfortunately, focused on the 2 worst characters in the show, Lad and the Rail Tracer.
They're the 2 worst for you?
Absolutely. Okay, Coleslaw's pretty bad, too.
So what's so bad about the Rail Tracer?
It's just like, I like to kill people. I'm the center of the universe. If I don't exist, no one exists. I'm going to kill more people. Ah, ha, 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 Rail Tracer.
I actually think that, the Rail Tracer is not one of my favorite characters. And the reason for that is like, when you compare what we know about him now, Vino and Claire, the superhuman assassin, he was more interesting when he was like a supernatural entity who was being perceived by his victims right before their deaths as like this monster with like
It's like
big,
shadowy red figure
Yeah.
with like red glowing eyes.
yeah. So it's a little bit of a letdown to me that he is a flesh and blood man. So
He's very speedy.
I don't really appreciate. I mean, I guess that's just a bit of a letdown for me. I don't know. That's probably just a personal thing.
And
But
then he spends. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
And then he spends like 3 minutes telling a 12-year-old that he has mastered torture and he's going to torture this kid.
Yeah.
After he ropes him to the underside of a speeding train.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. Like, I mean, I understand how that could be a turnoff or just could seem like the dialogue goes on for too long or the show's padding itself out or these scenes are just overstaying their welcome. But the thing that's interesting to me about the Rail Tracer, as far as his place in the story goes, is that he acts as a foil to every single one of these larger than life characters. Like Lad, for example, all of his shit about, like killing is the best thing in the world. It makes me feel alive. Blah blah blah.
I like killing who hate people who think they're better than dying.
Yeah. The thing about the Rail Tracer is that everyone who has some sort of weird like coked out philosophy like that, he turns it on its head and like forces them to look in the mirror and apply it to themselves. So Lad, for example, he's like, "Oh, I'm the universe is all about me. I determine who's like worth killing, and he does everything for his own pleasure." But the Rail Tracer, or Vino, Claire, whatever he should be referred to as now, he's better than Lad. He's stronger. He's faster. He's more ruthless even. And he forces Lad, someone who's so self-obsessed and narcissistic and cruel and brutal, he forces him to make a decision based on love. He forces him to value this woman above the potential for like killing and bloodshed. So that's what's interesting about his character, is that he through the Rail Tracer's character, the author can find the humanity in all these terrible, cold-hearted people. You can take Coleslaw as well. He's like, "Oh, I had this really terrible, messed up, torture-filled existence for who knows how long." And it should be noted that his older brother, I guess, or who knows what their relationship was exactly, but it was the guy with the long hair.
Right, from the boat.
Yeah, who I thought might be significant in some way.
Well, he's dead, Jim.
Yeah. But Cheslaw's worldview was like, I'm just in it for myself because I can't trust anyone. I can't trust adults. I can't trust anybody. And why would he? He's got every reason not to after the kind of life that he was forced to live. But the Rail Tracer is like, you think that you've experienced all the pain there is to experience, but you haven't.
Like, this is your worldview. I'm here to tell you that you're right, and it gets worse. I'm going to tie you to the underside of a train now, and then someone's going to try to help you, and you're going to cause them to almost die.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that the role the Rail Tracer plays is interesting. Like he
seems to be more of a. You seem to be describing him as like a literary device.
Well, every character is in every show,
but
in some fashion.
Seemingly more than others.
Yeah, and I think the Rail Tracer definitely is a foil for all these characters. He's stronger, faster, more ruthless, like I said. And I mean, ultimately, the thing about Cheslaw's character is that he's a kid who never had the opportunity to like trust or to grow up.
Right.
But there are two forces that are going to allow him to do that. One, Isaac and Miria, who have this unconditional love. I mean, that's maybe not the right term, but that just seems to be the way that they live their life and the way they approach their relationships with people. They just love everyone. They want to be friends with everyone and get along and encourage them and be positive towards them. So that's how they have interacted with Cheslaw. And then you have the Rail Tracer, who is completely the opposite, but is also like a shock to Cheslaw's system, who says that no, it's life. By showing him so much cruelty and so much brutality, he kind of reveals that there's actually more to life than cruelty and brutality, because Cheslaw hasn't seen everything there is to see so there must be more.
There's more brutality.
No, does that make sense to you?
No, it doesn't. Not at all. You were tortured a lot. I'm going to torture you worse. Now you understand that love exists.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. Like, no,
because that's what Isaac and Miria do.
I know, but the Rail Tracer, like, Cheslaw thinks that the world is all about pain, but the Rail Tracer shows him that there's even a level beyond that as far as pain goes. Doesn't that mean that there must be more to it? Like, if you can keep going down and down and down the rabbit hole of darkness and horror, then mustn't there be something above as well?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like that's a realization that he could reasonably come to as a result of.
So if you dig a hole and stand in it, and you're like, I can dig even further, but I'm still in a hole.
I'm not just talking about the physicality of the metaphor that you're bringing up. Anyway, I've probably gone on too long about that. Yeah, but there's Isaac and Miria on the one hand, and then there's the Rail Tracer on the other. And it turns out Isaac is immortal. That's probably the thing that we should actually be talking about. That's important.
I don't know if he knows he's immortal, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll find out.
I actually speculated about that last week. Like, what if they're immortal and they don't know it? Because they've never remember
died.
We were talking about like cats having a bunch of extra lives, and maybe they have never used an extra life. They don't know they're immortal.
Right.
Yeah, it's possible that he doesn't know, but they must have had the quote unquote alcohol at some point.
Right.
But the real question is, did Firo and the Gandor brothers, did they drink any of that alcohol? Because they, in the bits of the show from 1930 that we saw in, I think, episode 12, they're shot dead in the street by Dallas and his two dudes.
Yeah, but we see them alive in 1931. So
yes, but the question that I have is, are they truly dead, and will they be brought back to life some other way? Or did they drink the alcohol beforehand? Because I don't think they have.
We know the bottles are missing.
That's true. But Isaac and Miria probably stole them, right?
They're the ones who brought it, though.
Yeah.
They brought it with them in the wooden case.
Wait, it was Isaac and Miria who brought it?
They stole it.
They stole it back from Dallas. Why did they bring it again to the Martillos?
I don't know. It was like a token of.
No, weren't they planning on stealing from the Martillos as well?
Yes, they were.
And they brought the wooden crate along with them?
Who knows?
It's kind of hard to remember with all the
crate does seem to, or at least in this one particular, I mean, you see most of its exchange of hands, but in this one, it does seem to kind of teleport.
Huh. Okay.
Like, I don't know how it got there.
I think it's just hard to remember. I think the show's done a pretty good job overall of tracking its location, who has it, who wants it. But it's possible that there was some oversight, on the show's part.
Or I missed something.
Yeah, or it's just, the show's hard to follow sometimes just because of the way it's laid out. It's not a common method of storytelling. So sometimes it's hard to remember.
It's also possible that we haven't seen it yet.
Seen what?
How it got there.
Oh yeah,
because there's still one.
Wait, how it got
left.
where?
How it got into the Martillos.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the answer is right in front of our faces, and we're just not remembering. But yeah, who sees that they're missing? Is it Sizzle?
Yeah, Sizzlard.
Okay. And he's upset about that, of course. And then he busts out of a window trying to chase Misa, but then he gets hit by his own car,
Yep.
which Isaac and Miria are driving. And then there's that whole thing at the end of episode 12 with Ennis, who he commands to, like watch them or kill them or to kill them.
It's like,
I guess.
I'm going to make this monologue about how she's lifeless and has no soul or no feelings or anything. It's just like, yeah, this isn't foreshadowing at all.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't know how long she's been around, how long she's existed, but let's say, how long do you think? Like 50 years? She doesn't age?
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
Yeah. So let's say she's been around for, I don't know, 30, 50 years, 100, who knows? He's probably been saying stuff like that about her for decades, and she hasn't had any sort of response to it, at least not a measurable one that he can see. But I think what we're supposed to gather is that based on her meetings with people like Isaac and Miria and people like Firo,
she's not usually treated like this.
What?
She's not usually like treated like a person.
Oh yeah.
Because pretty much everything that she's doing is just a shady dealing with terrible people. If you're dealing with like a cult that's looking for immortality, the kind of people they're going to run into aren't exactly going to be, hey, it's nice to meet you. If you do one good thing, it accounts for all the bad things. Let's laugh and hold hands and drive away.
Yeah. I think, what we're supposed to get, I think it's pretty clear that as a result of her meeting with these people who are, like Firo has a little crush on her, and
these
Isaac
people.
and Miria are encouraging to her and or befriend her. So she is now, from her interactions with them, she's gaining some amount of humanity, which she will use, I'm sure, to, kill Sislard or rebel against him, something like that. So that's what's going on with her. And I mean, we saw, I think both of us saw that coming from the very moment that her character was introduced. Like, she's a robot. Can she feel?
The robot that learns to love.
Right.
That's never been done before. And then I think the last major plot was Rachel from the Daily Days and everything she did, as well as Nice and Jacuzzi's gang.
Well, what about the hunt for Dallas in 1932?
I was there for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it seemed to be a continuation of what happened in the previous couple of episodes, with Eve constantly like busting out from behind a wall and being like, "It was me the whole time."
But this time,
where's my brother?
The Don walks in and is just like, "Hey, we should help each other. You just need to tell us where Dallas is." And he says, "Well, I'm afraid I have to tell you next time on Baccano."
Oh yeah, did you notice that the member of the Runarada family with the glasses, who's always snacking on something and who let Eve go? Did you notice that he was working at the Daily Days?
I don't think I did.
I think I saw him in there.
I mean, I wouldn't be. I already thought that was true. So, because I mentioned that in the last episode.
He, when Rachel is being questioned by her boss, the man behind the desk, why did you do this? Why'd you go above and beyond for these people? I'm pretty sure it's him who comes into the room and like sets down a cup of tea in front of her or something.
Right. I didn't notice that detail. So
I could be wrong about who. It might have been another guy with the same hat. I mean, to be fair, everyone wore a hat like that in the 1930s, but it could have been another guy with the same square jaw and glasses.
It's all fedoras, trench coats, and 3-piece suits.
And rifles.
Tommy guns.
Sure. Whatever.
Yeah, Tommy guns.
They're the ones with the like circular clips. Or
drum magazine. Yeah.
Okay.
The
gun terminology.
Also called the Chicago typewriter. Well, no, that was... Yeah, Prohibition era was the typewriter. That was the 30s.
So what are we supposed to make of Rachel? I don't know. I kind of see her as a character who exists to save people. Like kind of
like the rail tracer exists to kill people.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel as though the rail tracer serves more of a philosophical
Well, Rachel doesn't get to stand on a rooftop and talk about how she's the center of her own world
for
5 minutes.
What Rachel does get to do is just move from move all about different parts of the train and save people. She just seems to be like a panic button for the author. Oh no, I've written this character into a room. They're bound with ropes and stuff. Rachel, get in here. She busts in she busts in through a window, unties them, and like moves on to the next car to see if there are any characters that need, unwriting. That's like that's her character. That's what she's done, is just like save people who are in a situation where they wouldn't be saved ordinarily.
Right, but would you rather have a character that does that, or just be like, oh, one of the guards fell asleep or left us alone. Now we're out on our own. Which is better?
Isn't it?
Helped by an outside force, which is less unlikely, although still obviously unlikely.
I mean, it's the same. I mean, her character is actually more contrived in a manner of speaking than somebody just like falling asleep, because you have to literally invent a whole person to do the same job that some dude falling asleep could do. What is her motivation?
She likes trains.
Trains.
The rail tracer.
Yeah, her motivation is like, how did she explain it to her boss?
I have a respect for trains. My dad was like a train engineer or something.
Wait, did she really say that?
Something like that.
Oh, I thought she just said, there's been too much killing.
I mean, that was part of it, but then she also says, I have like respect for trains.
Okay.
My dad was like
this is definitely more contrived than somebody just falling asleep and people slipping their bonds. But I mean, all that being said, like, there's nothing wrong with her character, really. It's kind of nice that she's the sort of character who just acts selflessly and is rather reserved about it. The only really like major moment of acting from her was the moment where she met the rail tracer and was like, and like, scampers away from him real fast on the undercarriage of the car. So yeah, it's fine, whatever. I really don't see her as being that significant a character. She doesn't represent any particular philosophy. She doesn't seem to have much of an arc to her. She's just, a concerned information gatherer.
A concerned bystander, basically.
I don't know if she's a bystander, because she does work for,
right,
an information broker.
She was supposed to be a bystander in that situation.
Yeah, she was just supposed to let everything play out.
Yeah, just to gather information.
Yeah, so I don't know. She's fine. So we didn't talk that much about the fact that Lad he chooses Lua over.
I want to kill her.
Further violence. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I really do think that the value that the rail tracer has is now you can see, like, even though Lad is preposterously saying like, his love for this woman is tied up in his desire to like kill her. He's a full-blown psychopath. But
I mean, I think that was pretty obvious from the second we saw him.
Yeah. And we've known about his relationship with this woman having some sort of murderous bent to it from the start as well. But it seems less ridiculous in the moment when he like, grabs her, and he's essentially tricked by the rail tracer, right? Because she wasn't actually tied to the rope,
right,
or something. But the Vino makes him think that she is, and so he jumps off the train with her, as promised. He says, "I'm going to make you jump off the train of your own free will." So Lad is humanized at the very end, and that's, I think the show managed to pull it off at least reasonably well for a character who is so ridiculous and over the top.
Sure.
For the entire series. Because he gets the one punch. He punches the water tower or whatever it is that they're driving by. I think that's what we were meant to gather from that scene.
Yeah,
and that's probably why his arm is gone.
Grabs onto it, and that's why he loses half his arm.
Yeah. He's going to use his punch as a means of slowing himself down, like stopping his force.
Right, so they don't die.
Yeah.
Because only I can kill me.
Yeah.
I'm just checking my notes to see if there's anything we missed. I don't think so. Other than like,
there must be something, right?
I mean, there was the black suits got the order to or gave the order to kill Shanae.
Along with somebody else, right?
Lad.
Right, yeah. Well,
he's
a big thorn in their side.
Kill them both while they're fighting.
Yeah. That's true. And we got a little bit more of Goose. The black suit who seems to be in charge. He's the one who chases Jacuzzi on the roof of the train with a flamethrower.
Right. Who gets tripped up inadvertently by the rail tracer.
Right. Wait. What do you mean? Who gets tripped up by the rail tracer? Jacuzzi?
No. The other
Goose.
Dude. Goose, yeah.
What happens to him again?
The rope that's flying off, that's carrying Lad.
It knocks him off his feet.
Right.
But what happens to him? He doesn't fall off, does he?
No, he doesn't fall off, but he's gonna die.
What do you mean?
He's going to die. Like, their fight's gonna start up again. Jacuzzi's gonna throw that cherry bomb that he got from behind Nice's eye.
Right.
And he's using a flamethrower, so it's gonna explode in his face and he's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy to see.
Yeah, but I remember now that you mentioned him getting tripped up by that rope, but I don't remember how the scene resolves. Like, does it immediately cut away from that? It cut to what's going on with Isaac and Miria.
Yeah.
And I think Cheslaw as well.
Yeah, Isaac, Miria, Cheslaw, the rail tracer who tells Donnie to, here, pull this.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah. It's like 3 different characters. It's Rachel at first who grabs the rope. Who knows how she has the strength in her like tiny body to hold on to the weight of 2 adults and 1 kid. But she does.
Adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, and then the rail tracer grabs the rope and then he gives it to Donnie and then Donnie pulls them in. That whole sequence is like kind of cool. Cuz they're flying around. You get some nice cuts of them kind of like a whip effect, them being brought out here and then
some nice CG cuts.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, the trees and the rock and the train were all CG.
Yeah. But
that's what this show has looked like this whole time, so that's fine.
I can forgive a show for that sort of thing if it's at least interesting or has something else going on. Yeah. But that's what it really comes down to, when you're watching anime or doing whatever, reading a book, whatever. Like if you're reading a book and I don't know, let's take Harry Potter, for example, the magical world that Rowling creates is really interesting. So when there's a few chapters where Harry is just being like a moody prick, and not in a particularly interesting way, you'll keep reading because you want to know about like what the next weird detail about the Ministry of Magic. You want to just keep reading and keep learning about what about the story.
You forgive the small things for the overarching grandeur.
Yeah,
it's not the right word for it, but
the bigger stuff, the stuff you care about, and
yeah,
I think Baccano does that. It's weird story structure and it's colorful characters and it's cool music. I think those are all things that the show has going for it. And then the backgrounds are not very pleasing to the eye, but you can overlook those things. Whereas something like The Promised Neverland, if you're not engaged by the story or the characters,
there's
I know
nothing else there.
Many, millions of people are, I'm sure. But when I watch, I just like every weird musical choice and every bit of gross CG background shit in 2019 that's going on. I'm like, that's horrible. Because I don't have another element of the series that I'm like really looking forward to.
The worst this week was they're standing in a hallway about to walk through a door and the camera's like panning up over them, so the whole room is tilting, but the character is static.
Yes.
Just sitting there. I'm like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, that was bad.
But
anyways, yeah, it's easier to forgive Baccano's, quote unquote missteps or whatever, because the rest of it is good.
Yeah.
I agree to that.
Regardless of your opinions on the Rail Tracer.
Rail Tracer.
It's actually a genius character type.
Maybe
I think he's all right.
Maybe he'll have a redeeming arc. He does save Shanae.
I don't think so. I mean, Baccano is going through a point in itself, I guess, where it's trying to find, the value or the humanity or the redeeming quality in most of these terrible characters. But I think the Rail Tracer is the one that the show is kind of using as like its ultimate
evil.
No, I don't think so. The character is very, very solipsistic. He thinks of himself as being like the only sure existence in the world.
We're living in a simulation, and I'm the computer.
Pretty much. And so as a result of that being his worldview, he kind of like by making himself the only sure thing in his own world, we who are observing the real world are kind of grouping everyone else together
against him.
Yeah, against
almost.
him. They're all being set against him, just in terms of like even existence. I mean, I think what the author did with him was pretty clever. But I am kind of mad that he's just some dude. I thought he was cooler when he had like a weird tentacle head.
Like swirling blood effects.
Yeah, not reality. Yeah, that's the other thing. He was cooler looking.
Yeah.
The show has, now that we know that he's just a blood-soaked guy, the show hasn't managed to make him look as threatening or imposing. So they perhaps resort to these long monologues that he goes on.
I think also in part that's another I don't think juxtaposition is the right word. It's just a fancy one. But that's another thing that the show is doing to comment on storytelling, is based on the perspective of the person and how they perceive a character. They look different. They take on like an entirely new form. So they see like this monster that clings to ceilings and rips people's apart. And it's just a dude.
Right.
So it's another comment on multiple people telling the same story and trying to separate what the truth is from,
how people are perceiving
perceive the truth.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think in that capacity, I think he's interesting.
Yeah, that's true. But the sad part about more and more characters catching on to who or what he really is means that we just, he's just a guy with red digipaint smeared all over him.
Yeah, pretty much.
But whatever.
This is usually the part of the show where we rate them, but I'm pretty
Mob
sure
the best.
So I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Mob Kaguya Neverland, and that's it.
I don't know, dude. I would put Neverland and Kaguya towards the bottom together, I think.
Tied for last.
Out of 3. I didn't really care for Kaguya that much at all this week.
Oh, cheer up, guys. 8th place isn't so bad. Carl, there are only 7 acts.
Yeah, I'd put Mob definitely in first, and Kaguya and
Kaguya third.
Kaguya and Neverland tied for 4th.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, and I guess that's it for this episode of Anime Podcast. I meant to mention the timestamps at the start of this episode. I guess I didn't do that. For people who are only interested in one series, because I tag the episode,
right?
I put a Mob tag and a Kaguya tag and stuff. So if people are finding this wanting to hear, I mean, we have the time
takes.
We have the timestamps. Yeah. Well, our Neverland takes are like frozen. They are, because they're a week old.
Right.
In less than 24 hours, the next episode of Neverland will be out.
Oh well.
But we always got the good, the fresh, the piping fresh mob discussion and analysis.
You really want to call it an analysis?
And dude, anime fans are obsessed with the word analysis.
We're gonna be analyzing skirt lengths today.
For real. Like they're really obsessed with the term analysis. If there's like a 5-minute discussion of like a really shallow discussion of who is best girl in some high school harem, they'll be like, this is an analysis. It's truly bizarre.
Analyzing best girl from high school DxD.
That video exists.
It's probably an hour long and its own podcast.
I'm gonna have to check that out. But first, I'm gonna have to watch High School DED or whatever it's called to get the full lore. Anyway, we're done. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're still listening, I know no one is listening to this right now because this is the end of the podcast.
Tune in next time for more words about anime.
All right, we'll see you later.